Welcome back to Keys to the House. I will be your host this week, Diane Weber. This podcast is your behind-the-scenes look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of home buying, selling, and building. We're here to provide you with an unfiltered view for anyone who's looking to buy a home, build a home, sell a home, or just gain more knowledge on real estate in general. On today's episode, we're joined by Tyler Till. He's a real estate agent here in Des Moines with Realty One Group Impact. Thanks for joining us today, Tyler.
Thanks for having me.
So Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a real estate agent here in Des Moines.
I am born and raised from Indianola, and that's where I currently live. I am married, 3 daughters, Hayden, Maylee, and Talon. They are a handful, but they are lovely. I got my real estate license about 8 years ago. Started out doing it kind of part-time when I was still working for a hunting show as a field producer and editor, and then kind of eased my way into doing it full-time and haven't looked back ever since.
Do you still do a lot of hunting?
I do.
So do you have any real estate hunting experiences?
Yeah, a few. Last year I can think of a couple. I was up in northern Minnesota fishing with my dad, and we're in the middle of the lake fishing, and I was kind of negotiating back and forth with an agent on a home, and I put the deal together on the boat and got it accepted and everything right there in the middle of the lake. So that's kind of the perks of modern day real estate and technology. Another time recently that I had a middle of the rut, so I'm a big bow hunter, so I'm up in a tree stand and did the same thing. I'm sitting there texting back and forth and a few emails, and before I knew it, I was able to get an offer put together and all from the tree stand.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the perks of the job sometimes, I guess. But
so for the second week in a row, we have a special guest, Allie Jensen. She's a first-time home buyer, and she's got a few questions that you may be able to help her with.
Awesome.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi.
So my first question is, what are the benefits of purchasing a new home versus a home that has been around for a couple decades?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So right now it's an even more interesting question because inventory, so it's kind of a two-stage question. Inventory right now, resale inventory is really low. New construction, there's more to look at. So you might have more options that way and not quite as competitive market when you're looking as a buyer. Another thing, new construction, depending on the development, like over in Pleasant Hill and Sunrise Point, there are tax abatements. Mm-hmm. So Pleasant Hill has a graduated tax abatement where you're not paying your full property taxes until the 6th year. So from a new construction standpoint, that helps save money big time.
Yeah.
Another thing, like with Jerry's, having a builder's warranty for that first year really takes the, potential issues or concerns for you as a buyer out of it, where they'll, come back and take care of any issues that pop up.
Yeah, especially as a first-time home buyer, that sounds pretty great.
Exactly.
Okay, second question, kind of like piggybacking off of that. What is the difference between like a custom build versus a spec home? Like what time-wise, what would be the benefits? What would be like the downfalls of it?
Yeah. So with a spec home is basically one that's already been picked out, the finishes and everything, and Jerry's has already made the selections as far as cabinets, flooring, and everything about the home, and it would allow you to get into the home faster because that home might be completed. It might be in framing stage where you still might be able to pick out some things. Compared to a custom or a built to order, you basically sit down and you're able to pick your lot. You pick exactly what you want on all the finishes. So for some personality types, that's almost too daunting.
Yeah.
So they would almost rather pick a spec home and be able to maybe pick some things if it's in the right stage and be able to go from there.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah. Okay, last question I have for you is, what words of wisdom do you have for me as a first-time home buyer?
That is kind of a loaded question right now. So we're in a very interesting buyer's market with inventory of all, in the Des Moines area, it's under 2,000, which is a record low. It's actually under 1,900, I believe, which is a record low for the amount of inventory.
Yeah.
What does that mean as a buyer? There's not as many options out there and the market's really competitive. So be ready. Because if the right home pops up, you need to be ready to buy. What does that mean? Make sure your pre-approvals are done. Make sure you really know where you want to buy. You don't want to be jumping around all over the place if you know that might not be the right area. So really narrow down where it is, what you want, and just be ready to write those offers fast, because that's the market that we're in right now. And it's it can be more difficult just because there's not as many homes out there, but there's still a lot of new construction. I think there was just under 600 single family resale homes. So there's still homes out there. It's just, like I said, be ready.
So Tyler, I actually had a question for you. Do you have a lot of buyers right now, or do you have a lot of sellers right now that are thinking of selling, but maybe they're afraid that they won't be able to find a house for themselves?
Yeah. Right now, I personally, pretty mixed. It's not really heavily swinging one way. A lot of people right now have more buyers than listings, obviously. But me personally, it's kind of pretty evenly mixed.
Like if I wanted to sell my house, I would be a little nervous that there might not be a house out there for me.
Sure.
Do I need to be concerned about that?
Not really, no, because there are certain ways that you're able to protect yourself as a home seller. So you can list and advertise to the agents and to knowing buyers that it's going to be subject to home of your choice. So it protects you as a seller that you're letting the buyers know that, hey, you're not able to close on this house until I've identified and made an offer, accepted offer, and able to move forward with my house. So that allows you to not be stranded or homeless. What it does do is just more of a, it could be could be a downfall for a buyer because they might want to buy that house and move in right away. And that's what a lot of people are wanting to do right now is they want to get in there right away. Like some of the specs that we have, like over in Sunrise Point, I only have one available completed spec home. Everything else is sold, and there's a few that are currently being built, but everybody's still looking at that one that's built that's done because they want to move in now. So as a seller, it potentially could hurt you a little bit, but it protects you to make sure that you're able to find your home, make a offer on it, get it accepted, and move forward with that before you would sell yours.
Okay. Well,
and right now is a good time to be doing that. I mean, it's a crazy market. So.
And rates are still pretty low, right?
Very low. Yep.
Okay. Thanks for joining us today for another episode of Keys to the House. If you out there have any other questions, comments, or topics that you'd like us to talk about, shoot us a message at info@jerryshomes.com. Thanks, guys.